The rain started during the last prayer. It came suddenly, pounding on the tent fabric above the folding chairs, turning the dirt around the grave into a dark, sticky mess. People shifted, umbrellas popped open, heels sank into the soft ground. Someone behind her whispered, "Heaven's crying," and a few aunties murmured, "Mm-hmm," like that made it hurt less. Maya stood at the edge of the grave, fingers wrapped so tight around the handle of the black umbrella that her knuckles ached. 35 years old, black, dressed in a simple black dress that still smelled faintly of the cheap hotel iron. Her husband's name, Darius Coleman, was printed in gold on the glossy program she couldn't bring herself to look at. She should have been sobbing. That's what everyone expected. Widow at the grave, tears dripping down to join the rain. But her eyes were dry. It wasn't because she didn't love him. She had. God, she had. 10 years of us. 10 years of building and breaking and rebuilding. 10 years of late-night ramen, shared dreams, and arguments about money that always ended with, "Trust me, baby, I got a plan." Now the plan was in a mahogany box being lowered into the ground while his mother screamed. "My baby!" Mrs. Coleman wailed, throwing herself halfway over the casket until two cousins pulled her back. "My only son!" Maya flinched at the sound, the way everyone turned toward the mother, not the wife. Mrs. Coleman's church hat tilted dangerously, veils sticking to her wet cheeks as she clung to the edge of the casket like she might drag it back up by force. Someone touched Maya's elbow. "You okay, baby?" Aunt Cheryl whispered. Her perfume, vanilla and powder, cut through the smell of wet grass and cologne. Maya nodded automatically. "I'm fine." She wasn't fine. She was blank, like her brain had put a sheet of glass between her and everything that was happening. Pastor's voice, dirt hitting wood, relatives hugging her, leaving damp spots of cheap suit fabric on her dress. Voices telling her Darius was in a better place, as if that place wasn't 6 feet down and 2 miles from their apartment. Through the blur of umbrellas and black coats, she saw it, tucked under Darius's brother's arm, the laptop. Slim, gray, easy to miss if you weren't looking for it. But Maya knew its shape the way you know the shape of your own pillow. Late nights, soft blue light on his face, his fingers dancing over the keys. Numbers don't lie, babe. People do. That's what he always said, tapping on spreadsheets and construction estimates like he could bend reality just by believing hard enough. Now his brother Malik was holding that reality like it belonged to him. He caught her looking and moved toward her as the crowd started drifting back toward the cars. "Hey, Maya." His voice was soft, funeral soft. "You don't have to stay out here. Come on, we'll head back to the house. Get some food in you." Her eyes dropped to the laptop under his arm. "Why do you have that?" He blinked too quickly. "Oh, it's for the business. There's contracts, client info, stuff I gotta secure. Can't have that laying around with all these people in and out of your place." "It was on our dining table this morning," she said. "Next to the flowers. I left it there. I thought, you don't need to worry about that right now." His smile was almost gentle. Almost. "Let me handle it, okay?" That's what Dee wanted. Behind him, Mrs. Coleman stumbled over. "Malik, baby, we need to get to the repast. People are waiting." "Maya, go sit in the car. You look pale." Maya looked from the laptop to her mother-in-law's wet, furious eyes. There it was, something flickering there. Not just grief, not just rage at the universe. Possessiveness. "That's my husband's computer," Maya said quietly. "I'll take it." Mrs. Coleman stiffened. "For what? You don't know anything about his books. Let Malik handle the business side till we settle things. Darius would want it that way." Maya heard those same words in Darius's voice, echoing from 100 arguments. "You don't know business, baby. Let me handle it. Trust me." The glass in her mind cracked a little. "I may not know everything," she said, reaching out her hand, "but his name is on my lease, and mine is on his life insurance." The laptop stays with me. Malik's jaw clenched. For a heartbeat, the mask slipped and she saw naked irritation. This is not the time, he hissed under his breath. We'll talk about all that at the lawyer's. There's documents you don't understand, Maya. Things that need to be processed in order. Then I'll bring it when we meet the lawyer, she cut in. Her fingers closed around the edge of the laptop, tugging. You can walk me to the car with it now. They had a silent tug of war for 3 seconds. Then he let go. Fine, he said too quickly, wiping his hands on his black slacks. Fine. Take it. But don't go digging around in things and messing up files. That's business stuff. Tax stuff. You delete something by accident, that's on you. Mrs. Coleman shot him a look like he'd failed his one assignment. Maya cradled the laptop against her chest like a shield. I won't delete anything, she said. I'll just keep it safe. Coleman huffed, but the funeral director was waving her toward the line of cars, and she let it go, for now. On the drive back, the world outside the car window blurred into streaks of gray. Atlanta usually looked alive, even in the rain. Neon signs, red brake lights, murals on old brick. Today it all looked like it had been washed with the same dirty brush. Maya sat in the back seat with the laptop on her knees. Her parents rode up front in strained silence. Her mother occasionally reaching back to pat her leg. You need anything, May? Her mother asked. She shook her head. No, just home. Home wasn't home when they got there. It was a repassed battlefield. Plastic tablecloths, aluminum trays of mac and cheese and baked chicken. Kids running in socks on the hardwood, while old people claimed chairs along the walls like they were musical chair champions. Voices everywhere, laughing too loud, crying too loud, telling the same 3 Darius stories over and over. Maya moved through it like a ghost. Everyone wanted a piece of her, a hug, a word, a sigh, a performance of grief they could nod along to. She gave them enough to keep them from staring too long. A tight smile here, a thank you for coming there. Half a plate of food she didn't touch, every time she stepped into the living room. Malik's eyes found the laptop in her hands. Let me put that in the bedroom for you, he said once, taking a step toward her. I got it, she replied, turning away. Mrs. Coleman cornered her near the kitchen. We'll need his files soon, she said, voice low and urgent. Bank statements, contracts. Don't be selfish, Maya. This affects all of us. Selfish. The word landed like a slap. Maya looked past her mother-in-law at the photos on the wall. Her and Darius on their wedding day, his big goofy smile making her look even smaller beside him. Darius holding their first set of keys in front of this very apartment. Darius at the ribbon cutting for his first construction project. Hard hat slightly crooked. We built this, she thought suddenly. Not just him. We. Me too. Out loud, she said, I'll bring everything we need when the lawyer calls. Right now, I'm not thinking about contracts. I'm thinking about the fact that my husband is in the ground. Mrs. Coleman rolled her eyes, like grief was an inconvenience. You're not the only one who lost somebody. No, Maya agreed. But I am the only one who was married to him. She didn't give the older woman time to snap back. She turned and walked straight down the hall to the master bedroom, closed the door and slid the lock. Silence. It hit her like a wave, the noise of the repast muffled into a dull hum. The bedroom looked exactly the way they'd left it 3 nights ago when the ambulance lights painted stripes across the ceiling. His half-folded hoodie on the chair, her bonnet on the pillow, the faint scent of his cologne still clinging to the air. Maya sat on the edge of the bed, the mattress dipping under her weight. The laptop gleamed up at her from her lap, dark screen reflecting her face, smudged makeup, tired eyes, funeral hair that had already started to frizz at the edges. Okay, she whispered to nobody. Okay, just see what's there, that's all. Just see. Her fingers were clumsy on the trackpad. The screen lit up. Enter password. Of course. For 10 years they'd shared almost everything. Bank accounts, bills, cheap vacations, streaming passwords. But Darius had always been territorial about his work computer. "Not 'cause I'm hiding something," he'd say with a grin, closing the lid when she walked by. "Just proprietary information, you know? Contracts and stuff." Now the gray password box blinked at her like a dare. She tried the obvious things first. Their anniversary date, 0507. Wrong. Her birthday, 0814. Wrong. His nickname for her, May. Wrong. The error message flashed, incorrect password, 5 attempts remaining. Her throat tightened. She wiped her palms on her dress. Behind the door, a burst of laughter told her someone had just told the story about Darius getting stuck on a forklift in reverse. He had loved that story. He loved being the center of attention. "Help me out one more time," she thought bitterly. Just this once. She stared at the blinking cursor and let her mind drift back, past the hospital beats and the smell of antiseptic. Past the fight they'd had about medical bills. Back to when things were simple. The first apartment. No couch, just 2 milk crates and a futon. His old, sticker-covered laptop on the floor between them. They'd stayed up until 3 in the morning, filling out job applications and laughing at how busted the Wi-Fi was. He'd made a password then, something dumb, something that made her laugh. "I'll never forget it," he'd said, tapping his temple. "It's literally impossible to forget." She closed her eyes. What was it? Not her name, not his name, not their birthdays. Then it came, soft as a song lyric. "First thing you ever cooked for me." She'd burned the chicken that night. The smoke alarm had screamed for 10 full minutes while they fanned the kitchen with a pizza box. He'd taken one bite, chewed bravely, and said, "This is extremely memorable." She snorted now, a wet, broken sound that wasn't quite a laugh. "Don't tell me," she whispered, fingers moving on their own. "You did not." She typed slowly. "Burnt chicken 89. Her finger hovered over enter. "Please," she whispered. She tapped the key. For half a second, nothing happened. Then the screen flickered, the password box vanished, and the desktop appeared, crowded icons, a beach wallpaper he'd never actually visited. Maya let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. Her shoulders sagged. "Of course," she muttered. Of course it was that. Her relief lasted exactly 3 seconds. Because in the top left corner of the desktop, separate from the messy clusters of folders and spreadsheets, sat one single folder on its own. Plain white icon. All caps name. "For Maya, if I'm gone." The room seemed to tilt. Her vision tunneled down until everything in the world was just that one line of text on the screen. Someone knocked on the bedroom door, distant and muffled. "Maya, you okay in there?" Aunt Cheryl called. "Your mama's asking for you." Maya swallowed. "Yeah," she called back, eyes glued to the folder. I'm coming." But she didn't move. Her right hand guided the cursor forward inch by inch until the little arrow hovered over "For Maya, if I'm gone." She could feel her pulse in her fingertips. Whatever was inside that folder, Darius had named it knowing one thing. He would never have to face her after she saw it. Her finger rested on the trackpad. Outside the door, voices rose and fell. Somewhere in the living room, somebody put on gospel music. The world kept spinning, unaware that in a small locked bedroom, a 35-year-old black widow was about to open a window into the part of her husband's life he'd never let her see. Maya took a breath that felt like diving underwater. Then she double-clicked. The folder opens with a soft click. For a heartbeat, nothing happens. Then the screen fills with 3 icons lined up in a neat little row, as if he'd arranged them carefully and stepped away. A Word document. If you're reading this, it means I'm dead. A video file. Maya Final MP4. A folder. Proof. Maya's breath stutters. Her first instinct is to slam the laptop shut, throw it in the closet, and pretend she never saw any of this. Let the lawyer deal with the estate. Let Malik fight with the life insurance company. Let Mrs. Coleman decide what story she wants to tell the church. She's tired. But the words on the screen don't care about how tired she is. If you're reading this, it means I'm dead. Of course it does, she whispers, throat tight. She clicks the document. The white page snaps open, black letters marching from top to bottom. It's not long, maybe 2 pages, but every line hits like a small explosion. Maya. If you're reading this, it means I'm not there to say any of this to your face. I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for a lot of things. She blinks. The words swim for a second, then sharpen. I've been sick longer than I told you. She feels her stomach drop. He talks about the first time his chest tightened on sight. How he woke up one night drenched in sweat and went to the ER by himself while she slept because no point in making you worry if it's nothing. How he followed up once, got handed a stack of test orders, and shoved them in the glove compartment of his truck. I kept telling myself I'd handle it. I kept telling myself I had time. That's been my problem my whole life, thinking I had time to fix things later. She feels anger start to stir under the grief. You had a wife, Darius. Later wasn't just about you. He admits he finally went back when the pain got worse, when the shortness of breath scared him, when he almost blacked out lifting drywall. The doctor said words I didn't tell you. Cardiomyopathy. Advanced. We caught this late. I heard late and I thought, I can't tell Maya I did this. She already thinks I'm reckless with money. I can't add my life to the list. Her eyes sting. She scrolls. He writes about the business, the slow bleed of unpaid invoices, the rising costs, his stubborn refusal to scale back because we're this close to breaking through. Pause. When the bank started calling more than they'd answer, I did what I always do. I smiled, I joked, I promised them the next big job was coming. When that stopped working, my family stepped in. You know my mama. You know Malik. You know how they are about keeping things in the family. What you don't know is how far they were willing to go. Her fingers tighten on the edge of the laptop. He talks about meetings she wasn't invited to. Quick, just need to handle something, stops by his mother's house. Phone calls with Malik that went quiet whenever she walked into the room. First, he talked about loans, co-signers, ways to leverage what we got. Then they started talking about you. Maya's heart thuds so hard she can feel it under her ribs. Maya's got clean credit, Malik said. She the only one of us who ain't messed it up yet. She's also the only one with a conscience, I told him. They laughed. She's your wife, my mama said. If she loves you, she'll sign. Maya's vision blurs. She swallows back the urge to slam the document closed. She keeps reading. I'm not gonna lie here and say I never used your name. I did. I'll explain that in the video. But this folder isn't about me trying to look good. It's about you staying free when I'm gone. He explains in painfully plain language what he's done. He's copied emails where Malik sends application PDFs with her information already filled in. He's pulled voice notes from his own phone where his mother jokes about her being too trusting, about slipping the girl a paper with the turkey on Thanksgiving. She'll sign anything when she's fed. He saves screenshots of banking portals showing accounts that list her as primary or guarantor, but she has never seen. They think you're soft. They think you'll be so broken at the funeral, you'll sign anything they put in front of you. Papers to keep the house, papers for the business, papers so your husband's work wasn't in vain. Please don't. If you do nothing else I ask, don't sign anything without your own lawyer present. A muffled burst of laughter comes from down the hall. Someone turns the music up a little. In here, time has stopped. I know I don't have the right to ask you for anything else, not after what I've done. But If there is anything left in you that remembers the man I tried to be before I started drowning, let this folder help you. Let it make you angry enough to protect yourself. Her eyes snag on one last line, set off from the rest. One more thing. Don't trust any lawyer my mama or Malik already arranged. The names you can trust are in the proof folder, subfolder, contacts. Start there. I love you. I'm sorry. D. Maya stares at his name. Her body feels numb and hot at the same time. Her heart is pounding. Her fingers are cold. And there's a buzzing in her ears like she's standing under a power line. She could close the document right now and send it straight to some attorney and say, "Here, handle this. Tell me what to do." But the cursor hovers in the middle of the screen. On the taskbar at the bottom, the video file sits there like a second heartbeat. Maya Final MP4. Her thumb brushes the trackpad, and the file preview pops up. His face caught mid-blink. He's in the living room. Not this living room. The furniture's different. The couch behind him is the old one they donated when his business finally started making money. The clock on the wall says 11:37 p.m. The date in the corner is from months ago. He looks smaller. No flashy chain, no fitted cap, no work hoodie. Just a plain gray t-shirt and the kind of eyes a man has when his doctor has said more than they're allowed to write in a chart. Maya clicks. The video fills the screen. The first thing she hears is breathing, the kind of slow, steady breathing of someone who had to sit there a minute and work up the courage to press record. Okay, Darius says. His voice is hoarser than she remembers. If you're seeing this, May, that means I didn't beat this thing. He tries to smile. It doesn't quite make it. I know you probably cussed just now, he says. Something like, "Why didn't you tell me? Why you always gotta carry stuff by yourself?" You be right. Her throat closes. She has, in fact, just thought exactly that. He rubs his hands together, looking down, then back up at the camera. I was a coward, he says. No jokes, no deflection. About my health, about the business, about my family, about you. He explains the hospital visits she never knew about, the pills he took in the truck, before walking in the door and acting fine. The stress test he skipped because he had to meet a client. He laughs once, bitter. Always thought I could outwork a bad heart, he says. Turns out it doesn't care you got deadlines. Then he starts talking about the part she really didn't know. How many times Malik came over here when you were working that late shift, he says. How many times my mama called saying, "We got a solution, baby. We can fix this for you. Don't worry about what Maya thinks. She don't understand business." He admits he let them talk. He admits he nodded when he should have walked out. He admits that when they first brought up using her name for just a small line of credit, he didn't shut it down. I told myself, she trusts me. I'll fix it before she even notices, he says quietly. I told myself a lot of lies to sleep at night. He leans a little closer to the camera. But when the doctor said the word failure and didn't mean my projects, I realized something, he says. I realized if I died, they weren't going to mourn. Not really. They were going to move on. You, with your signature on everything. He gestures off screen. So I started collecting, he says. Every email, every text, every call I could record when they got sloppy. Screenshots of them sending your social, your birthday, saying, "Just put her down. She don't ask questions." His jaw tightens. I don't know if it'll be enough, he admits. But I know this much. If you walk into a room after I'm gone and they start pushing papers at you, acting like it's all taken care of, walk out. Call the numbers in that folder. Give them this video. Let them be the bad guy for once. His eyes soften then, and for a terrible second, he's not a man confessing crimes. He's just her husband again. The one who fell asleep on her shoulder during movie nights. The one who somehow knew how she liked her tea without her ever having to say it. I know you're going to hate me when you finish reading everything, he says. You'll have every right. I did things I shouldn't have, to you. with your name. He presses his lips together. But I swear to you, Maya, on anything that ever meant something between us, this folder is not one of those things. This is me trying, too late, to do something right. Not business right, not family right, you right. He looks straight into the camera. If you got any love left for me, don't waste it feeling guilty, he says. Use it to get mad. Mad enough to protect yourself from the people with my last name. He exhales hard, like the words have been sitting in his chest for months. I love you, he says, voice barely above a whisper. I'm sorry. I hope one day you get to live a life that don't have my bad decisions chained to it. The video glitches for a second, his image frozen mid-blink. Then it ends. The screen goes black. Maya's own reflection stares back at her in the glass, eyes red, cheeks wet. She hadn't even felt the tears start. Now she realizes they've cut clean tracks through her foundation. Outside the bedroom, someone knocks again. Maya? Her mother's voice this time, careful. You need me to bring you a plate, baby? She swallows. No, Mama, she says, voice rough. I'm okay. It's not true. She's not okay. She's greeting a man who loved her enough to leave her a digital shield and hurt her enough to make it necessary. Her gaze shifts to the last icon in the folder. Proof. The anger Darius asked for starts like a small spark in her chest. It's not an explosion. Not yet. Instead, just a steady burn. She clicks the folder. If the first document was a confession and the video was an apology, this is the part where his words either save her life or show her exactly how deep the hole is that he helped dig with her name. He taps the folder. With an outline, he adds, to consolidate certain obligations under your profile, Mrs. Coleman, under the umbrella of estate management. Malik shifts in his seat. Now hold on. Mr. Coleman, Mr. Hargrove says calmly, I'm going to ask you and your mother to wait in the lobby for a moment. I need to speak with Mrs. Coleman and her counsel privately. Mrs. Coleman's head snaps up. Why? We're family. We're the ones helping her. Because, the bank manager says, and now his tone carries steel. This meeting concerns accounts that bear her name. Legally, my first duty is to her understanding, not your convenience. His eyes don't leave Malik. Alicia's lips twitch, just barely. Malik opens his mouth, closes it, then forces a tight smile. Sure, he says. Sure, we'll give y'all some space. Just don't let her freak herself out over nothing, all right? He stands up. Mrs. Coleman throws Maya a wounded look. Remember, baby, she says, we're just trying to help. Maya nods weakly, playing her role. I know. When the door closes behind them, the air in the room changes. Mr. Hargrove leans back and looks 10 years older. Mrs. Coleman, he says slowly, I'm going to ask you a direct question, and I need you to answer honestly, even if the answer makes you angry. Maya swallows. Okay. Before today, he asks, did you know you were listed as primary or co-borrower on 4 lines of credit for Coleman Construction and 1 home equity line tied to your residence? Her stomach flips. No, she says, I didn't. He nods once, as if he expected that answer and hates being right. That's what I feared, he says. We noticed inconsistencies. He swivels his monitor slightly so she can see. On the screen, an account summary page she recognizes from Darius's screenshots. Her name up top. Totals in the 5 figures. At first, when your husband and brother-in-law came in last year, the paperwork appeared in order, he continues. We had signatures, IDs, but over time, certain things bothered my staff. Signatures that didn't match earlier documents. Unusual patterns. Your profile only being used when your husband's limits were reached. He clicks another tab. Side-by-side comparisons of her real signature from an old checking account and the one on the newer loans. The differences glare back at her. We flagged it internally, he says. But without a complaint from you or clear evidence of forgery, our hands were limited. When your husband came in here asking hypotheticals, I suspected he was having second thoughts. Maya feels her throat tighten. Why didn't you call me? He meets her gaze. Because I didn't have your direct number, he says simply. Every contact point on file went through him or his brother. A crack of fury splits the numbness. Of course her own financial life was routed through men who saw her as a signature and not a person. Alicia leans forward. So what is this packet on your desk? She asks. What were they hoping she'd sign today? Mr. Hargrove lays a hand on the folder like it's a live grenade. A restructuring, he says. A consolidation of the business debt under Mrs. Coleman's personal guarantee, framed as estate simplification. It would have rolled several delinquent accounts into one, extended the term, and locked her into responsibility for balances that, from what I'm hearing, she did not knowingly incur. He looks at Maya again. I want to be clear, Mrs. Coleman, he says. You don't owe us for fraud somebody else committed with your name. The bank will protect its interests. But I won't be a party to cornering a grieving widow into signing away her future. Not today. Her eyes sting. She swallows hard. Thank you, she whispers. He nods. I can't undo what was done, he says. But I can document our suspicions and initiate an internal review. If your attorney requests full account histories and application scans, I'll provide them. He turns to Alicia. You'll file a fraud claim with our compliance department and, if necessary, law enforcement, he says. It's not really a question. Oh, I plan to, Alicia replies. But first, I need my client to understand exactly how bad this is and what protections she has. She turns to Maya, voice gentler. Maya, listen to me. You are not crazy. You are not overreacting. What your husband's folder shows and what Mr. Hargrove just confirmed is a pattern. They used your trust like a credit card. That stops today. Maya's hands shake in her lap. She thinks of all the times she'd apologized to Darius for being difficult when she asked questions. All the times she'd stopped in mid-sentence because he'd said, Baby, please, I'm under enough pressure. How much time do we have? She asks quietly, before they start pushing again. Not much, Alicia says. They're probably pacing outside already, rehearsing how to spin this. Hargrove glances at the door. I'll bring them back in, he says. We'll keep it very surface level. We reviewed some documents. Mrs. Coleman needs time. Nothing can be signed today. They won't like it, but there's nothing they can do here without her consent in front of me. He looks at Maya. If they try to isolate you after this, he adds, you walk out. Come back here or to your lawyer's office. Don't go anywhere near another bank or loan office with them alone. Understood? She nods. Understood. As he stands and moves toward the door, he pauses, hand on the knob. Mrs. Coleman, he says over his shoulder, softer now. For what it's worth, your husband looked scared when he was here. Not of us, of what he'd let happen. That doesn't erase what he did, but it's why we're having this conversation in my office, instead of processing that packet and pretending not to see the red flags. The words hit her like a slow, heavy wave. He leaves. In the brief silence before the door opens again, Alicia leans toward her. You're doing good, she murmurs. This is the part where they push. Let me take the heat. You just stay confused, overwhelmed, and very, very unavailable to sign. Maya gives a small, humorless huff. That I can do. The door opens. Malik strides back in like he owns the floor. Mrs. Coleman follows, face tight. So, Malik demands, we good? Got everything ready for her to sign? Mr. Hargrove resumes his seat, folds his hands on the desk, and gives them a patient, bank manager smile. We've reviewed some preliminary information, he says. Given the complexity and certain questions surrounding the origin of some obligations, I've advised Mrs. Coleman and her attorney that nothing should be signed today. We'll need to complete internal reviews first. Malik's composure cracks. Internal? What questions? He snaps. We've been working with y'all for years. My brother died. We're trying to handle his business. And now you got questions? As I said, Mr. Hargrove repeats, we'll be in touch. For now, I suggest you give your sister-in-law space to grieve without putting additional pressure on her to make binding financial decisions. Mrs. Coleman glares at Maya like she's personally betrayed her. See, she hisses. This is why we wanted to help. You don't know what you're doing. You let these lawyers and strangers confuse you, you gon' lose everything Darius worked for. Maya's heart is pounding so hard she worries it's audible. For a moment, the familiar guilt rises. Maybe they're right. Maybe she's messing this up. Maybe she should just... Then she remembers the forged signature. The text will slip it in with the probate paperwork. The way her name sat at the top of those accounts, like a mask. She straightens, just a fraction. I'm not signing anything today, she says softly. I need time, and I'm not coming to any more meetings without my lawyer. That lawyer is just here to get paid, Malik snaps. Family is who has your back. Family, Alicia cuts in, her voice cool as metal, is who doesn't open 5-figure lines of credit in your name without your knowledge. We're done here for today. Any future communications can come to my office. The room crackles with anger and humiliation. Mr. Hargrove stands, a silent signal that the meeting is over. Malik glares at all three of them like they've conspired to steal his oxygen. Mrs. Coleman mutters something under her breath about ungrateful and after everything we done. Maya lets it wash over her. When they step back out into the main lobby, the air feels different on her skin. Colder, cleaner. We still gotta talk about the house, Malik hisses at her as they head for the door. We still gotta talk about the will. You can't avoid that. I know, Maya says quietly. We'll talk at the reading. What reading? Mrs. Coleman demands. We seen Mr. Hargrove's lawyer this week. No, ma'am, Alicia says, stepping in smoothly. We'll be seeing the attorney who holds the final will. The one your son signed after certain conversations took place. You'll get the notice. The look on their faces is almost enough to steady Maya's knees. Almost. Outside, the air hits her like a slap. Hot, bright Georgia sun bouncing off car hoods. Walk me to my car? Alicia asks. Maya nods, grateful for the direction. They move across the parking lot, leaving Malik and Mrs. Coleman fuming on the sidewalk. When they reach a silver sedan, Alicia turns to her. This was round one, she says. You did exactly what you needed to. They're going to regroup. They'll come harder. Through guilt, through anger, maybe through that family lawyer they keep mentioning. But the second you open that laptop, you stopped being their pawn. Maya looks back at the bank doors, where her in-laws stand arguing in furious whispers. The grief is still there, heavy as ever. But now it shares space with something else. Resolve. What happens next? She asks. Next, Alicia says, opening her car door, we pull every account file, every application, every so-called signature. We get a formal fraud investigation going. And we get ready for the will reading. She pauses. And Maya? Yeah? Whatever your husband did wrong, Alicia says, steady and clear. Today he did one thing right. He warned you. You listened. That's the line between being a victim and being a survivor. Maya swallows hard. For the first time since Darius's heart stopped beating, she feels the faintest thread connecting past and future, not as a noose, but as a rope she can climb. Okay, she says, let's survive. What she doesn't know yet is that the will reading won't just expose the family's plans. It will set fire to everything they thought they could still control. And when the smoke clears, she won't be the one standing in the ruins. They will. Night presses against the bedroom windows like a heavy palm. Maya sits cross-legged on the bed in an old t-shirt, funeral dress tossed over the chair, laptop still open in front of her. The For Maya folder glows on the screen like a wound. On the nightstand, Her phone lies face up. The last message from Malik is still open. Malik, bank tomorrow at 10. Estate paperwork. I'll pick you up at 9:30. Just bring your ID. Her thumb hovers over the screen. Then she swipes out of his text, opens the notes file with Alicia Monroe's number, and presses call. It rings twice. On the third ring, a calm voice answers. Monroe Law. Maya's mouth is dry. Hi, I was told to call and say a phrase. A brief pause. Go ahead, the receptionist says. Maya closes her eyes. Darius's hypothetical got real. There's a small click, like a call being rerouted. New silence. Then a different voice comes through, low, steady, with the kind of tired that sounds like it's seen a lot and hasn't broken yet. This is Alicia, the woman says. Who am I speaking with? This is Maya. Her voice cracks on her own name. Maya Coleman. I think my husband came to see you a few months ago. He talked about a friend. There's a sharp inhale on the other end. Okay, Alicia says. No surprise, no judgment, just focus. Tell me where you are. Home, Maya answers. He died. We buried him today. His family, they want me at the bank tomorrow morning to sign estate papers. And I just found a folder on his laptop with emails, call recordings, loan documents. My name is everywhere. Alicia doesn't waste time with sympathy fluff. Are you safe right now? She asks. Yes, I'm in my bedroom. Door locked. Is anyone in the house who would take that laptop or your phone if they knew what was on it? Maya thinks of Malik's eyes on the laptop all afternoon, her mother-in-law's tight mouth. Yes, she whispers. They already tried. Okay, listen to me carefully. Alicia's voice sharpens in a way that makes Maya sit up straighter. Do not send that folder to anyone on email tonight. Don't print anything. Don't confront them. Don't tell them you know. Just back it up to something they can't see. A cloud storage login they don't have. A USB. Something. Then plug that laptop in and let it sleep like nothing's changed. Maya nods, even though the lawyer can't see her. I backed it up to my personal cloud. And a flash drive I keep in my jewelry box. I think it's safe. Good, Alicia exhales. Tomorrow morning, when Malik comes to pick you up, you go with him. Act like you know nothing. Be the broken-hearted widow they expect. Let him walk you into the bank, into whatever room they've arranged. Do not sign a single thing. Maya's heart thumps. He said it's just estate paperwork. I'm sure he did. Alicia's tone turns dry, almost amused. Text me the bank's name and the time the minute we hang up. I'll meet you there. If they ask who I am, I'm your attorney. You don't need their permission for that. Maya hesitates. What if they get angry, walk out? Then they walk out, Alicia says. And that tells me everything I need to know. But between your husband's folder and what I already suspected from his hypothetical, I doubt they'll bolt. People like this think they're smarter than everybody. They'll try to control the room. Our job is to control the paper. For the first time all day, Maya lets out something that's almost a laugh. It comes out jagged. Okay, she says, gripping the phone tighter. Okay, one more thing. Alicia adds, if there's a bank manager in the room tomorrow, a Mr. Hargrove, if they haven't changed since the last time I tangled with them, watch them. They're not stupid. Some of them have been side-eyeing these family signature games for a while. If somebody at that bank pulls you aside alone, hear them out. Maya frowns. You think they're on my side? I think they're on the side of their employer, Alicia says. But some of them don't like fraud, and good managers don't like being used. Leave your heart at home. Bring your eyes and ears. When they hang up, it's almost midnight. Maya does what Alicia told her. Copies the For Maya folder to her private cloud, plugs in the laptop, closes it gently like she's tucking a child into bed. She hides the flash drive in a place nobody but her would think to look, inside an old hair product box at the back of the closet, under a pile of wigs. Then she lies down, fully dressed, and stares at the ceiling fan until her eyes finally close. Morning comes harsh and bright. The repast mess is still there. Half-empty pans of food, cups on every surface. Her mother has already started cleaning when Maya shuffles into the kitchen in black jeans and a plain top. Hair pulled back, eyes hollow. "You sure you want to go with them?" her mother asks quietly, rinsing a plate. "We can call a lawyer first." "I already did," Maya says, pouring coffee she won't drink. "She's meeting us there." Her mother's eyebrows lift, but she just nods. "Good. Don't let them outnumber you." At 9:28, there's a knock. Maya opens the door to find Malik in a crisp shirt and tie, smelling like cologne and calculation. Mrs. Coleman stands a step behind him, wrapped in a black shawl, eyes swollen and sharp. "You ready?" Malik asks, plastering on his sympathetic face. "We don't have to be long. Mr. Hargrove said he'll walk us through everything." "Yeah," Maya says, making her voice small. I just want to get it over with." She clutches her purse with both hands, shoulders rounded, eyes down. The picture of broken. Inside the purse, her ID, a small notebook. And a paper she printed quietly at dawn, a list of account numbers from the proof folder, circled in red. On the short drive to the bank, Mrs. Coleman keeps patting her knee and saying things like, "We'll take care of you, baby. Darius would want us to make sure you not left in no mess." Maya nods at the appropriate moments and stares out the window, counting her breaths. 9 blocks. A red light. 2 turns. Her phone buzzes once in her lap. A text from an unknown number. "Alicia Monroe, I'm here." Gray suit, locks in a bun, sitting near the far window. Walks straight past the chairs. "Don't stop." Her heart thuds. The bank branch sits on a corner, all glass and brushed metal. As they walk in, the cool air hits her arms, and the smell of industrial cleaner and printer ink wraps around her. "Morning, welcome to Summit Financial," a teller says robotically. Malik barely nods, headed straight for a door that says appointments. "We're here to see Mr. Hargrove," he tells the greeter at the desk. "Coleman Estate." The greeter smiles professionally. "He's just finishing up. If you'll have a seat." But Maya has seen her. A woman in a gray suit, locks twisted into a low bun, sits in one of the waiting chairs near the windows, a leather portfolio on her lap. She looks up at Maya, eyes sharp, and gives the smallest nod. Maya's instinct is to go straight to her, but she forces herself to follow the script. She lets Malik steer her toward the chairs. Her legs feel like they're made of damp cardboard. "Just sit here, okay?" he murmurs, hand heavy on her shoulder. "I'm gonna let them know we're ready." He turns away to talk to the greeter. That's when the woman in the gray suit moves. "Mrs. Coleman?" she says, standing. Maya looks up, wide-eyed. "Yes?" "I'm Alicia Monroe," the woman says calmly, extending a card. "We spoke last night." Malik stiffens mid-sentence and spins around. "I'm sorry," he says, walking over. "Who are you?" Alicia doesn't sit. She doesn't shrink. She smiles politely, but it doesn't reach her eyes. "I'm Ms. Coleman's attorney," she replies. "We'll be joining you for any estate paperwork today." "Attorney?" Mrs. Coleman's face pinches. "We already have a family lawyer. Ain't no need to bring in strangers." "With respect, ma'am," Alicia says, still perfectly calm. Your son retained me months ago for advice concerning his wife's exposure to certain debts. He left instructions that she contact me if something happened to him. She has done so. The lie is neat and clean, wrapped in just enough truth to ring. Malik's expression flickers, shock, then annoyance, then calculation. He forces a laugh. Wow, Dee kept secrets from everybody, huh? He says, trying to play it off. Well, no problem. The more the merrier. Mr. Hargrove will be glad to explain it all. Right, Ma? Mrs. Coleman presses her lips together, but nods stiffly. Long as we get this done. Before anyone can say more, a man in his late 50s appears in the doorway. Neatly trimmed beard, brown skin, a tie that's been loosened half an inch, like he's having a long day already. Coleman family? He calls. That's us, Malik says quickly. Mr. Hargrove's eyes scan the group. They linger half a second longer on Maya and Alicia than on Malik and his mother. Come on back, he says. We'll talk in my office. The office is small but tidy, with certificates on the wall and a window looking out over the parking lot. On the desk, a thick stack of papers clipped together, a pen laid neatly on top. First of all, let me say I'm sorry for your loss, Mr. Hargrove begins. His voice is smooth, practiced, but there's something behind it. Something watchful. I understand we're here to start the process on Mr. Coleman's accounts and discuss the house and business obligations. Maya settles into the chair next to Alicia, purse in her lap. Malik and Mrs. Coleman sit opposite them, closer to the desk. Yes, Malik jumps in. We just want to make sure everything is taken care of the way my brother wanted. We've got a lot of responsibilities. Employees, vendors, real estate. We can't let things fall apart. Of course, Mr. Hargrove says. He flips open the folder, revealing a stack of forms. We prepared a packet to streamline things. Some of these are standard, notifications, beneficiary confirmations. Some are to restructure certain lines of credit for the business. He slides the stack slightly toward Maya. P. Most of these will need Mrs. Coleman's signature as the surviving spouse, he adds. There it is, the moment Darius wrote about. Maya feels Alicia's knee brush hers under the table. A wordless reminder. Breathe. Before we review anything, Alicia says smoothly, I'd like to know what specific obligations you're proposing to place in my client's name, and which ones already legally list her as borrower or guarantor. Mr. Hargrove looks at her, then at Maya. You're her attorney, he asks, just to be sure. Some of them, not strictly in line with policy. The room goes very still. What does that mean? Maya asks, her voice small but steady. Mr. Hargrove looks at her directly now, not at Malik, not at Mrs. Coleman. It means, he says carefully, your husband came to see me 3 weeks before his passing, alone. He was agitated. He asked me, off the record, what would happen if accounts opened in a spouse's name without full disclosure were called into question. Maya's fingers dig into her purse strap. He did? She manages. Yes, Mr. Hargrove says. I told him what I always tell clients. If there's any possibility of misrepresentation, we are obligated to investigate. He left abruptly. 2 days later, his brother called to request this appointment. The proof folder opens like a trapdoor. For a second, Maya just stares. It's not one folder. It's a map of a war she didn't know she was in. Subfolders stacked in neat, terrifying rows. 01 accounts in Maya name. 02 family calls. 03 group chats. 04 documents Mama and Malik. Strong opens like a trapdoor. For a second, Maya just stares. Her thumb scrolls back up. PP accounts in Maya name. Strong PP. She clicks. Inside, PDFs and screenshots with names that look like a foreign language, and her own name welded onto all of them. Summit Financial, Revolving Lock, Primary, Maya Coleman. Southside Credit Union, Auto Refi, Borrower, Maya Coleman. Atlanta Home Capital, Equity Line, Co-Borrower, Maya Coleman. Her full legal name, address, social, all spelled perfectly. Her stomach clenches. She opens one at random. A PDF blooms on the screen. A scanned loan agreement with tidy lines and corporate logos. Halfway down, her eyes catch it. PP Strong, signature of borrower. And there, curling across the line, is her signature. Except, it isn't. Not exactly. Her M is too neat. The tail of the Y is wrong. It looks like someone practiced, slowly, in a quiet room, copying from old documents until they got close enough to pass. Maya's vision swims. She remembers that day at the kitchen table, 3 months ago, when Darius had slid just a couple of forms at her with the lightness of someone offering a menu. "Refinancing my truck, babe," he'd said. "Lower payment, same old stuff. Just sign where I highlighted." She'd been running late for a shift. She'd signed twice where the yellow marks were and dashed out the door with a kiss to his cheek. Now she zooms in on the PDF. Her real signature is there on the first page, one of the highlighted spots he'd shown her. But the second, on page 5, the one she never saw? Forged. She scrolls to the metadata at the top. Created by M. Coleman. Scanned at Coleman Construction Office. Multifunction device number 2. The room tilts again. She closes the PDF with more force than necessary and presses her knuckles into her thigh until pain cuts through the fog. He hadn't lied in the video. He just waited until after his heart stopped to admit it. She forces herself to open another file. This one is a screenshot of an online banking dashboard. At the top, her name again. At the bottom, a bright red bar. Utilization, 93%. A sticky note graphic covers part of the screen in the image. Darius's handwriting, scanned and pasted on top. "They ran this up without telling me until it was almost maxed. Said, we'll fix it after the next project pays out." Next project never paid out. Beneath it, another screenshot, another account. This time a store card she never knew existed. "Opened with your info while you were on night shift." The note says, Malik said it was temporary. Her chest feels tight. It's not just one mistake, it's a pattern, a whole architecture of quiet theft, built with her name as the foundation. She backs out of the accounts folder before she throws the laptop. Her eyes land on family calls. Inside, more files. Call Mama Malik 01.m4a. I enjoy the moments of wow moments again. Strong, call Mama D clinic parking M4A. And below each, a small text file with the same name ending in transcript. Darius has labeled each speaker. Block quote, Strong. "Look, bro, I'm telling you, the bank ain't giving you nothing else under your name. You already over-leveraged. I know that. I'm not stupid. Then use what you got. You got a wife with 780 credit and no late payments. That's gold. She's not a tool, man. She's your wife. That's the point. Y'all are one. What's hers is yours. You think she want you to lose the business over some number on a paper? Slip it in with some other forms. She'll sign. She always signs. I'm not comfortable with that. You comfortable with foreclosure? With Mama losing her house if you default? Come on, D. She'll understand later. Tell her you did it to save the family." Women love that sacrifice story. The word "slip it in" keeps echoing. She closes the transcript, swallowing hard as she opens another. Call Mama D clinic parking .m4a transcript. "Mama, how bad is it, baby? The doctor's being dramatic or?" "Darius, they talking about next few years, Mama, maybe less." "Mama, Lord. If something happened to me, I don't want to leave Maya with all this mess. Mama, Maya can handle it. She a strong girl, and if she can't, that's what family is for. We ain't gonna let her mess up what you built." "Darius, that's not what I mean. Listen to me. I talked to Mr. Hargrove at the bank. If we can get her to co-sign on one more line, we can roll some of this debt, protect the house. After the funeral, when she's calm, we'll bring her down there. Tell her it's just signing the probate paperwork. She won't question it. She'll be grateful somebody taking charge. Maya's mouth goes dry. After the funeral. It isn't a guess. It's a date on their calendar. Her grief is a time slot. She scrolls. Darius? Yeah. Don't start with your conscience now. You did this debt trying to provide. She gonna benefit from what you built. The least she can do is sign her name so we can clean it up. The text stops there. A note at the bottom from Darius. Hung up on her here. First time I felt genuinely scared of what they might do after I'm gone. Block post. Maya's hands tremble, but not from fear alone anymore. Something hard and cold is forming under the grief, like ice over moving water. They had planned to walk her straight from the cemetery to the bank. She'd even half heard Malik earlier near the sink telling someone, "Yeah, we got an appointment tomorrow morning. Gotta get paperwork started before the week is over." She thought it was for his own affairs. It was for hers. Her eyes burn. She blinks the tears away and clicks back until she's staring at strong, 04 documents Mama and Malik. In there, Darius has gathered everything that proves intent, not just mistakes. Scanned handwritten notes from his mother. Block post. If she don't want to sign, you tell her we can lose the house. She don't want that. She'll sign anything to keep this place. In a post leading to the invoice. Post 1. We'll bring the widow in Thursday. She thinks it's about the estate, but we'll slip the LLC renewal and equity line. A PDF of a revised will draft, prepared by a lawyer she's never met, dated 6 months before he died. In that draft, her name appears twice, once to give her a small lump sum, and once in a clause about her obligation to honor the deceased's outstanding business obligations to the best of her ability. Everything else? Property, vehicles, business interests. All slated to go back to the Coleman family line, i.e. his mother and brother. At the bottom, Darius has typed a note in bold. Never signed. I refused. They don't know I kept this copy. Maya realizes her jaw is clenched so tight, it hurts. She forces it to relax. The room feels smaller now. The walls are the same warm gray they chose together. The bed is the same cheap frame they argued about in IKEA. But everything is off, tilted, like she's seeing it from outside herself. They didn't just disrespect her. They wrote a script for her life after death without her input. She backs out of the documents folder, finally clicking on O5 Contacts Trust. Inside, there are only 2 files. Addie Alicia Monroe notes.txt. Pastor Hughes notes.txt. She opens the first. Alicia Monroe, Consumer Protection and Estate Attorney. Recommended by Mr. Jefferson, old head from Union, says she eats banks for breakfast. Met with her once, hypothetically. Broke down the situation with a friend. She didn't flinch. She said, if your friend's spouse is being used as a credit mule without full knowledge, that's fraud, not a family mistake. If the spouse dies, the widow should not sign a single thing until she has independent representation. If the family is this comfortable forging signatures, they're probably this comfortable lying in probate. She gave me her direct line and said if the friend ever gets scared, have her call and say the phrase, Darius's hypothetical got real. She'll know it's you, Maya. Exhales shakily. The words blur for a second. He'd met with a lawyer. Without her. Without telling her. To talk about her. Her instinct is to be furious about that. But right now, the bigger truth is this. He didn't send her to their lawyer. He didn't slip her card under his mama's door. He tucked this one into a folder she was never supposed to see unless the worst happened. which it has. She looks at the second contact, Pastor Hughes, the older pastor at their old church. The note says nothing about money, just, if you can't get through to Alicia or need somebody in your corner who don't want nothing from you, call him. He paid his church off years ago. He ain't scared of nobody's mama. For the first time since she opened the laptop, a tiny, humorless smile tugs at the corner of her mouth. She closes the file. The voices outside the bedroom have shifted. Plates clink, chairs scrape. The repast is winding down, people heading home. Soon she'll have to go back out there, let people squeeze her hands and say, "Call me if you need anything," when the people she actually needed were in this folder all along. Her phone buzzes on the nightstand. A text from an unknown number. Malik. "Hey, we're meeting with Mr. Hargrove at the bank tomorrow at 10 a.m. to start estate paperwork. I'll pick you up at 9:30. Just bring your ID and anything you got of D's." Her throat tightens. Just bring your ID. Just sign. Just trust us. Maya looks from the text to the laptop screen, to the words in Darius's document. Please don't. The anger inside her crystallizes into something sharper. Not a wild, thrashing fury, but a focused, cold edge. Fine. They want to play just a few papers? She'll show up, but not alone. Maya reaches for her phone again, switches over to the keypad, and scrolls back to the document with Alicia Monroe's number. She copies it carefully. Her thumb hesitates for only a second. Then she hits call. Tomorrow morning, she won't be walking into the bank as a confused, grateful widow. She'll be walking in as a woman who knows the script they wrote for her and has started writing her own. The will reading happens on a Tuesday that feels like it belongs to someone else's life. The sky over downtown is that hard, flat blue Atlanta does so well. The kind of sky that used to mean patio brunches with Darius, sunglasses and mimosas, and jokes about grown-up money. Today, it just makes the glass towers look sharper, like blades. Maya stands on the sidewalk outside a mid-rise office building made of beige stone and tinted windows, clutching her purse. Alicia is beside her in that same gray suit, a new folder under her arm. "You ready?" Alicia asks. "No," Maya answers honestly, "but let's go anyway." Inside, the lobby smells like air freshener and printer toner. The wall directory lists Monroe and Kane LLP, estate and business law on the 5th floor. The elevator ride feels too short. The doors slide open onto a hallway with framed black and white cityscapes. At the end, double glass doors frosted with the firm's name. They step in. Behind the reception desk sits a woman in her 40s with ox braids and a no-nonsense expression softened by kind eyes. "Good morning," she says. "You must be Mrs. Coleman. I'm Dana. Miss Monroe's colleague, Mr. Kane, is ready for you. The other guests are already in the conference room." Guests. Maya's stomach twists. They follow Dana down a short hallway to a glass-walled conference room. Through the glass, Maya sees them before they see her. Mrs. Coleman, on a dark church dress and pearls, lips pressed so tight they're almost white. Malik beside her in another too-perfect shirt and tie, jaw working, leg bouncing under the table. On the wall behind them hangs a large piece of abstract art, streaks of red and black across white. Blood and ink, Maya thinks. Dana opens the door. "Mrs. Coleman is here," she announces. All eyes turn. "Mrs." Coleman's gaze slides over Alicia like she's lint and pins on her daughter-in-law, with a mix of grief and accusation. "Finally," she says, "we've been waiting." Malik forces a smile. "Hey, Maya, you okay?" His tone is too bright, too smooth. "This is hard, I know. We just gotta get through this, yeah?" Maya feels Alicia's presence at her shoulder, like a spine made of steel. She nods once and sits at the far side of the table, opposite them. Alicia takes the chair to her right and opens her folder. At the head of the table sits a man in his early 60s, light brown skin, salt and pepper beard, wire rim glasses. He wears a navy suit that looks old but well kept, like he's been doing this long enough to have seen every version of human mess. Good morning, he says. I'm Richard Kane, your son, Mrs. Coleman, and your husband, Mrs. Coleman. He nods to Maya. Retained our firm for certain estate matters last year. Before we begin, let me extend my condolences for your loss. Thank you, Mrs. Coleman says stiffly. Maya murmurs something similar, even though she isn't sure condolences fit the man she's about to meet on paper. Now, Mr. Kane continues, folding his hands, we're here to read and execute the final will and testament of Mr. Darius Coleman. As required, all primary beneficiaries have been notified and are present, either in person or through counsel. He glances at the seat next to him as if expecting someone else, then at Alicia. And, as I understand it, Miss Monroe is here as counsel for Mrs. Maya Coleman. That's correct, Alicia says. We're also in the process of reviewing certain financial irregularities involving her name, but that's a separate matter. Malik snorts. See, this is what I was talking about. Outsiders coming in, turning everything into a matter. Mr. Kane lifts one eyebrow. Mr. Malik Coleman, he says evenly, if you'd like to dispute your brother's choice of counsel for his wife, you would have had to do that while he was alive. Today, we're simply carrying out what he put in writing. Nothing more, nothing less. The rebuke hangs in the air. Malik leans back, clenching his jaw. Mrs. Coleman mutters something about disrespectful under her breath. Mr. Kane opens a red folder in front of him and takes out a stapled document with a blue cover sheet. This, he says, is the will your son signed 6 weeks before his passing. It revokes all prior wills. For the sake of clarity, I will read relevant portions aloud. Maya swallows. 6 weeks. That would have been after his panicked visit to the bank, after his hypothetical with Alicia, after he started realizing just how deep the hole was. Mr. Kane begins. The first part is boilerplate. Name, address, declaration of sound mind. Maya hears Darius's name in the formal language and feels a weird double vision. The man who used to fall asleep with his head in her lap, snoring softly, and the man who forged her signature. Then Mr. Kane gets to the meat. I appoint Maya Rochelle Coleman as my primary beneficiary and heir, and I appoint Monroe and Kane, LLP, as co-executor to ensure that any disposition of my estate does not place her under obligations she did not knowingly accept in life. Mrs. Coleman stiffens. Co-executor? She repeats sharply. What do you mean, co-executor? We already have a family executor from the church. You had one, Mr. Kane corrects gently. On a prior will. This one supersedes it. Your son requested our firm act as neutral co-executor alongside his wife. Given the financial complexities, I agreed. Malik's voice spikes. He never told us that. Mr. Coleman, Mr. Kane says, if your brother told you every detail of his private legal arrangements with his spouse, I'd be out of a job. He keeps reading. End point. I direct that my wife shall not be held personally responsible for any business debts or lines of credit she did not personally open and understand. If my name appears on any document that suggests otherwise, I ask the executor to treat those as suspect and assist her in contesting them. Unquote. Maya grips the edge of the table. There he is, the man in the laptop folder, the one who was finally scared enough of the monster he'd helped build to leave her a map. Mrs. Coleman's face reddens. He was under a lot of stress, she says quickly. He wasn't thinking straight when he wrote that. We all said things. Mrs. Coleman, Alicia says, this is not a conversation. This is his legally binding instruction. Mr. Mill. Kane nods and flips a page. Regarding my business, Coleman Construction, I direct that all company assets, vehicles, and contracts be liquidated under supervision of the executor, with proceeds first used to satisfy lawful business debts. Any remaining proceeds shall go into a trust for my wife, administered by the executor, not by my family of origin. The air in the room drops 10 degrees. What? Malik explodes. You gotta be kidding me. That company got our name on it. I've been working there since I was 18. I handled crews, bids, everything. And he just gives it to her? To some trust? You'll note, Mr. Kane says calmly, that your brother's priority was that legitimate obligations be paid. That includes wages owed. If you have unpaid compensation, you may file a claim like any other employee. But ownership is another matter. But we are the company. Coleman cries. We helped him start it. We put our house up as collateral back in the day. And he acknowledges that, Mr. Kane says, tapping another section. There's a paragraph here directing the executor to ensure you're not rendered homeless by any liquidation. Specifically, he instructs that your current residence remain protected from any business foreclosure as far as the law allows. Mrs. Coleman's mouth snaps shut. Mr. Kane continues, to my mother, Evelyn Coleman, and my brother Malik Coleman, I leave a one-time cash bequest of $10,000 each to be paid only after confirmation that no further accounts have been opened or extended using my wife's personal information without her explicit consent. Silence. Then, 10,000, Malik chokes. 10,000 after all these years? That's it? It's not unusual, Mr. Kane. Kane says mildly. Primary spouse receives the bulk. Blood relatives receive fixed sums. Your brother was also clear that those bequests are conditional. Conditional? Mrs. Coleman repeats, aghast. Since when he put conditions on family? Since he realized, Alicia says quietly, what family was planning to do with his widow at the bank. Malik slams his palm on the table. You don't know anything about us. Mr. Kane lifts a hand. Let's stay on track. There's one more section I'm required to read. Apparently, he flips to the last page. Finally, in the event that my wife discovers any misuse of her name, credit, or financial identity related to my actions or those of my family, I ask her to do what I lacked the courage to do in life. Tell the truth and protect herself. I give my full consent for any of my records, devices, or communications to be used as evidence in such matters. The words sit in the center of the room like a stone. Maya stares at them on the paper. Do what I lacked the courage to do. She remembers his face in that last video log, grayish, sweaty, eyes full of something like shame. I did some ugly things in your name, May. Things I can't fix before my heart gives out. Is that all? Mrs. Coleman asks, voice brittle. Almost, Mr. Kane says. There's an attached letter, separate from the legal document that your son left for his wife. It's not part of the will per se, but he asked that it be given to her after the reading. He slides a sealed envelope across the table to Maya. Her name is on the front in Darius's handwriting. Her fingers tremble. She doesn't open it yet. Outside the glass wall, life goes on. Assistants walking by with coffee, someone laughing at a joke by the copier. In here, the air sags under the weight of endings. So what now? Malik demands. She just walks away with everything and we get scraps? After all the money we put in, all the sweat? Walks away is a strong phrase, Alicia says, flipping her folder open. From my view, what she gets is a pile of fraudulent debt we have to unwind, a business we have to safely dismantle, and a name your brother asked us to protect from further abuse. She doesn't receive a bag of cash and a yacht, Mr. Coleman. She receives responsibility without your control. I will be filing formal fraud complaints this week, she adds. Summit Financial has already agreed to cooperate. We'll need statements from both of you about any applications you witnessed or participated in. Mrs. Coleman recoils. You think we're criminals? We're family. We were just trying to help him stay afloat. Intent and outcome aren't the same thing, Alicia replies. If you misrepresented her knowledge or consent on legal documents, the law has a word for that. Mr. Kane closes the will folder with a soft thud. This concludes the reading, he says. Alicia and I will coordinate on the administrative side. Mrs. Coleman, he looks at Maya. You are under no obligation to continue this conversation today. You've received the information you needed. Maya nods slowly. Her heartbeat is loud in her ears, but her mind feels strangely clear, like someone finally wiped condensation off a mirror. She stands. So do Malik and his mother. The second they're in the hallway, outside the conference room, Mrs. Coleman rounds on her. "You did this," she hisses. "You and these lawyers. You turned my son against his own blood. That's witchcraft." Maya flinches at the venom, but something else flares hotter. "No," she says quietly. "He turned himself, the day he opened accounts in my name behind my back. The day you planned to walk me into a bank when I was still burying him, so I could sign some estate papers that were really for your mess." Mrs. Coleman's eyes widen. "What you talking about?" "You know what I'm talking about." Maya meets her gaze for the first time in days. "I saw the emails. I heard the calls. We'll slip it in with probate. She'll sign. She always signs. The only reason I'm standing here with a lawyer instead of in court as a defendant is because your son finally grew a conscience and left me the truth." Malik steps in, pointing a finger in her face. "You ain't gonna talk to my mama like that. After everything she did for you." "Like what?" Alicia cuts in sharply, moving between them. "Like teach her how to be quiet when people use her name? That training ends today." "Back up, Mr. Coleman." There's a moment, a tight, dangerous moment, where Malik looks like he might ignore her. Then he sees something in Alicia's eyes that makes him think better of it. He drops his hand. "You think this is over?" he sneers. "You think a piece of paper and some fancy words mean we just walk away? We know where the bodies are buried in that business. We know what Darius did. You ain't safe." Maya feels a flicker of the old fear. And she remembers the blinking red light in the server room in that first story she listened to, the one that inspired her channel. The moment a trapped woman turned the hunters into the hunted with evidence and witnesses. She straightens. "I'm safer than you are," she says softly, "because the only thing with my name on it that I actually signed was my marriage certificate. Everything else, that's on you." Alicia's phone buzzes. She glances at it, then looks back up, expression smoothing into something almost satisfied. "That was Summit's compliance department," she says. "They've fast-tracked the investigation. They'd like to schedule interviews with both of you about application irregularities this week. You'll be getting calls." Mrs. Coleman blanches. Malik swears under his breath. Alicia turns to Maya. "Come on," she says quietly. "Let's get you out of here." They leave the firm, step back into the bright, buzzing city. Traffic hums on the street. A delivery truck beeps in reverse. A man argues cheerfully into a headset about lunch orders. Normal life. Maya squints against the sunshine, envelope still in her hand. "Do you want to read it now?" Alicia asks gently, nodding at the letter. "I can give you a minute." Maya looks down at her name, in Darius's handwriting. Her chest feels tight. "Yes," she says, "but alone." Alicia nods. "Take your time. I'll be in the lobby if you need me, then we'll go over next steps." She heads back inside. Maya walks to a small plaza beside the building, where a couple of trees cast thin shade over a bench. She sits, the sounds of the city washing around her, and finally tears the envelope open. The letter's 3 pages, written on the firm's stationery in his uneven handwriting. She starts to read. "May, if you're seeing this, it means my heart finally cashed the check my lifestyle was writing. It means I didn't get a chance to sit across from you at the kitchen table and say the ugliest thing a husband can say. I used you." A words blur. She blinks hard and keeps going. He confesses, not just to the loans she's already seen, but to the first time he let Malik talk him into just one little credit line. To the way his mother's fear of losing the house got twisted into entitlement. To every small step down the slope. He admits he forged her name. He admits he told himself he'd fix it before she ever found out. He admits he knew he was gambling with her future. "You always trusted me, May," he writes. You thought I was the one person who'd never use your softness against you. But I did. I let being the provider become an excuse for putting you on the altar when the wolves came. That's on me, not you, not God. Me. He explains the proof folder, that he started building it the day he overheard his mother and brother talk about walking you into the bank after the funeral. That he went to Alicia on a hypothetical to see if there was a way to clean it quietly. That when the doctor told him his heart might not give him another year, he realized he'd run out of time to fix it himself. I wanted to be the hero who fixed everything before I died, he writes. But if I was that man, I wouldn't have put you in this mess to begin with. So this is me doing the coward's version of brave. I'm telling the truth on paper and putting the gun in your hand instead of theirs. At the end, there's no grand romance, no begging for forgiveness he doesn't deserve. Just, you don't owe me anything, Maya. Not loyalty to my family, not excuses for my choices. The only thing I ask is that you don't let them make you small. You were always the smartest one in the room. I just didn't want to admit it. Use that. Protect yourself. Build something that got your name on it because you chose it, not because somebody slipped it into a stack of papers. If you hate me after this, I'll understand. If you ever find something in your heart to remember the parts of me that weren't rotten, I'll be grateful. Either way, I died loving you. I just wish I'd lived like it. Tears finally spill over. Hot and relentless. For a long time, she just sits there, letting them come, grieving the man he was, the man he could have been, and the man he chose to be. Grieving the marriage she thought she had, and the one she actually lived in. Then, slowly, the sobs ease. The city keeps moving around her. A bus sighs to a stop. Somewhere, a car stereo thumps. A woman walks by, pushing a stroller, humming softly to her baby. Life doesn't pause for anybody's revelations. Maya wipes her face with the heel of her hand, folds the letter carefully, and tucks it back into the envelope. She stands. She thinks of all the women like her, handed just a few papers at kitchen tables. All the widows and wives and girlfriends dragged into banks with promises of estate paperwork and help. She thinks of the women who never found a proof folder, who never got a last-minute confession, who never had a bank manager with a conscience or a lawyer waiting near the window. She thinks of the channel she started last year, telling other people's stories in her soft evening voice, never realizing one day she'd be living a story stranger than anything she'd posted. Maybe that's the next chapter. Not just surviving this, not just paying down whatever's left, rebuilding her credit, finding an apartment that's hers alone, but telling this story the way it deserves to be told. So the next woman who hears, just sign where I highlighted, feels that bad feeling in her chest and listens to it. Maya turns back toward the building. Alicia is waiting in the lobby, tapping something into her phone. When she sees Maya's face, she straightens. "You all right?" she asks gently. "No," Maya says, then after a beat, "But I will be." Alicia's mouth curves. Good answer. They step back out into the bright day, side by side. For the first time since the funeral, the future doesn't look like a blank wall. It looks like a corridor. Long, complicated, full of doors. And this time, when someone puts a pen in her hand, she'll read every line on the page. Did you like Maya's story? Where in the world are you listening from right now? Tell me in the comments. I always love seeing where these life stories travel. If this story hit home for you, you can support the channel with a super thanks so I can keep bringing you more real-life drama, justice, and healing. On the screen, you'll see 2 more stories I really recommend. They're full of twists, karma, and strong women who refuse to stay small. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next life story. With love and respect. See you in the next one.